Hey everybody, Joe Joseph here for thedailysheeple.com, and this is your news shot. Now, high times. I know a lot of people out there probably like, oh, high times, oh, you stoner. No, high times has some really great stuff to read. And they've been around forever. A lot of people don't realize they've been around forever. They've been around forever. And they do good work. And they've got a great piece that came out about a week ago. And I'm just catching up with it now. Now, everybody out there knows that while I don't subscribe to labels, if from a faith or religious-based perspective, I was to classify myself, it would be a Christian, I guess you could say. But I don't believe in labels, so I don't like to call myself that. But I follow, basically the Bible. I think it's pretty spot on accurate. With that said, High Times has a great piece, a conservative Christian case for pot legalization. Now, a lot of people don't know that the Bible holds a lot of keys to unlocking what it really means to be free and what liberty is based on. And when you start to read through it and you see the values and virtues that are instilled in it, if we all followed them, man, the world would be a better place. And I'm not talking about the Mosaic Law. I'm not even talking about the Ten Commandments, okay? Even though you're supposed to, everybody out there, hey, to each their own. I don't judge. But even when humanity couldn't get the Ten Commandments right, God sends his son Jesus down and says, hey, look, okay, you guys, my dad said, hey, follow these 10 commandments. Hey, you're having a problem with 10. You had a problem with the Mosaic Law. I can understand that. Now you have a problem with just 10 commandments, just 10. I'm going to boil it down to 2. Because if you can do those 2, then the 10 will fall right into place. You won't even know that you're following the 10 commandments. You just end up doing it. And he said, love your neighbor, love each other. And treat people the way you want to be treated. If you just do those 2 things, all the rest falls into place. All the rest. So over the years in my research, and by the way, at one point in time, I was a Satanist, just to put it in perspective. So I've done a complete 180. And over time, researching biblical history and archaeology, and at the same time, studying what's going on with our society and what has gone on in our society over the last, 120, 150 years or so, right? All of our answers, at least if we want to go down this road of pot legalization, or even making the case for it, there are verses in the Bible that make it abundantly clear what God meant when he put these herbs on the planet. And he also made it abundantly clear that we, human beings, are not animals. It's very important. The Controlled Substances Act in the United States is written in such a way that in the eyes of the law, you are considered an animal. And Alfred Adisk, you can go to his website, adisk.wordpress.com. He's a brilliant man who years ago was part of a case. He was a defendant in a case where the state of Texas, the FDA in the state of Texas, went after him and some friends of his who he was a fiduciary for manufacturing, illegal manufacturing of a controlled substance or something like that. And it was colloidal silver of all things. And so after they backdated all the fines, it ends up being like $99 million that they owe in fines, that the government's coming after them for. and $25,000 a day until they stop or they're in compliance and everything, you know, everybody sings Kumbaya. Basically, they get beaten into submission and you do what we tell you, and maybe, just maybe, we'll let you live a sliver of what your life used to be. That's basically what they do. But they didn't know who they were up against. And Alfred started reading into the Controlled Substances Act. And interestingly enough, when he did the research, he found out, wow, look at this. According to the Controlled Substances Act, this act applies to man and other animals. Man and other animals. Meaning that in the eyes of the law, we are animals. But here in the United States, we have something called the First Amendment. And the First Amendment is a reminder to us of our freedom to worship whoever we want to worship. Okay? And in that, there are commonly accepted and long-standing judicial precedent that basically say that, you know, the Bible and other religious texts are very important and can oftentimes influence a case because a certain law may conflict with your beliefs and interfere with your ability to worship the way you'd like to worship. Now, in this case, in Mr. Addis's case, he read it and knew right off the bat that in Genesis, God gave man dominion over all the animals of the earth. We are not animals, my friends. We were given dominion over the animals. And so his argument was very simple. This law doesn't apply to me because God gave us dominion over all the animals of the earth. Now, he had the very real opportunity to be able to take down the Controlled Substances Act. But, interestingly enough, after he submitted this to the court in some pretrial proceedings, the government and the state of Texas quietly never responded and eventually dropped the case, knowing full well that if it went to trial, it could set judicial precedent that strikes down the Controlled Substances Act. Now, can you just imagine, and I'm going to throw this out there to everybody because there is somebody out there, one of you listening today is someone who's being persecuted because of maybe, you had a possession. Maybe you got terminated from a job because of marijuana or whatever. You now have the ability, to put your faith to work and say, look, here's the Bible. Boom. This law doesn't apply to me. I'm sorry. God gave us dominion over all the animals of the earth. If you go to his website, he lays it out pretty well. And let me tell you, folks, there is a lot of legal expertise to where I believe that we have a legitimate chance to strike down the Controlled Substances Act because really it's quite simple. All we need to do is get it to trial. You get it to trial, boom, it's done. No more worrying about marijuana legalization. No more worrying about all of the BS that you see with this alleged opioid epidemic. And we can actually get things going in a proper direction, which is your body is your property. And you can do anything you want to your property as long as you don't infringe upon the rights of others. It's really quite simple. It's what liberty's all about. God gave us all free will. And yet, we allow the government to continually snuff it out. And folks, that just can't go on anymore. It is getting really crazy out there. And are you going to be the one that has to tell your children, hey, look, we had the opportunity, but, we had the chance to speak up before it was too late, but. I don't want to be that guy that has to say, but. I want to know full well that at the end of the day, I tried everything that I could and gave it all I got to make sure that this country was a better place for my kids. And I'm hoping a lot of you out there do that as well. Not just here in the United States, but all over the world. Because we're not animals. We're not chattel. We're human beings. And we all have the right to live and pursue happiness, to live life to the fullest, right? And to enjoy God's creation instead of destroy it, and instead of having the government living under a government jackboot. So let's all sing Kumbaya on this great Friday, and I will see you all later. This was the dailysheeple.com's News Shot. Feel free to comment below and visit our website at thedailysheeple.com. Fire away down in the comment section. Woohoo!